So today I set out to create a Streamdeck or custom keyboard so that I could easily control OBS in my recording. But let's just say you don't record. Let's say you want a custom controller. Let's say you just want to make some hotkeys. Let's say you do a lot of Photoshop and you need some really neat macros. Basically, this is how you can create a custom keyboard. Now, I had a few possible ideas, and in fact, this is ultimately what I resolved on, and I can press my button to zoom in and that'll make things. Here are some things that I had lying around that I was possibly going to use. So I have this LCD screen and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons on it. And it has, I could use the up down for zoom in, zoom out. And then I've got kind of 4 scenes here. So the fact that it only had 4 buttons was kind of my big issue. I wanted more. I want to be able to start and stop this stream really easily. So that was kind of my limitation with using this, but this would have certainly been a possibility, and then I could have had a stream readout, but that also added complexity to the project. 'Cause the reality was I have feedback. I have my OBS at all times. I didn't need the LCD feedback, so for me to have to program and know which scene is being displayed, that would just be a lot of extra effort, whereas if you're using this for something where you maybe don't have access to a keyboard, or you don't have access to good feedback and you wanted to know what you were doing, then this would be great. I have just a standard kind of Arduino board. This is similar to an Uno. It's a Geekcrete. So I was going to use this as kind of the brains and power, but it was either going to be, I have this nice 16 button controller pad, and really what's nice is it's a button array, but it only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pins. Correctly, yeah, those 8 pins. So this doesn't take up 16 slots, because if you look on our normal boards, you have at most 12 digital ins, and 2 of them not always usable, and then analog, you've got only a few. So the reality is you just don't have enough for 16 buttons, and I would like the concept of using 16. So the fact that I can have 8, and out of my 8, I believe there is a common ground and a common power. It really only needs 6 to do what you need to do. And the last one was, and I think this will come in handy for something else, is I have this awesome capacitive touch. And here this has 16 for capacitive touch. I don't believe I can access it there. But I don't know if this is pressure or capacitive touch. I don't know if I can actually solder to it. I'm going to have to really play around. I kind of picked this up because it was on like one of those dirt cheap sales. And it was like $1. So I was like, yeah, let's get it. So this would have been a great idea because I could have had a really neat custom layout. But again, it would have required a lot of custom coding. It would have required a lot of, just figuring out how everything needed to work. It would have just been overkill. And then I had this. So this I got from Sunfounder, and they make pre-made Arduino boards. And this is actually an Arduino Leonardo. And this I got on sale for like $20, which is why I bought it. So I figured a $20 kind of custom controller with an Arduino in it, you could actually put the game in here. So my thought was, if I could build the game in here in the controller, then you could just output and you could just play the game. I was kind of thinking a little over my head. This doesn't have DVI out. There's kind of limited in what you can do. So even if you hook it up to something like this LCD screen, it's going to be too big. I have that problem of taking on things that are just way too big. But this controller, what's great is out of the box, one, it had pre-written code with the keyboard. Everything works. It has MIDI mode should I want to do something with it. It has 6 buttons on it, and it has a left and a right, an up and a down. Now this is an analog stick, meaning that it gives an analog value, but the code itself, which I'll show shortly, turns that into a digital. So there's kind of a threshold for turning on and off. Now, I had to set up 4 different scenes. So this is ultimately a scene toggler. So I'm as zoomed in as I can. So pressing up is not going to zoom in anymore because it can't change the scene. But if I press down, it's going to go to my zoom out screen. Now, as you see, the camera kind of adjusts back, and that's because I was pretty quick in setting up my zooms, and I also wanted different focuses, but I can really easily kind of switch back and forth. I didn't actually add a keyboard press for left or right, and I think I'd like to in the future. My select and start, I haven't done anything with, but my other buttons, ooh, the infinity, are set. I can load up my code and browsers. So this will allow me while I'm kind of doing my making. So let's in. So this will allow while I'm doing my building here, I can just press a button and switch scenes. And also while I'm working on the code, if I want to switch back. So this will allow me just easier control. You could program these to be rapid fire or something else neat. There's nothing special about this. If you didn't have this or didn't want to spend, I think the current price is about $30. If you didn't want to spend that, this really is just 6 buttons and it's 6 buttons and an analog stick. So the analog stick is probably $3, $4. You could probably get it cheaper if it's on sale. Buttons are dirt cheap. You can do whatever you want. I mean, this style, the 16 buttons, I got this for $1.25. So each of these buttons is less than a quarter if you really dig it down. So there's nothing stopping this from being almost exactly the same code as here. This just had some nice features on it. It was built in and it's easy. So at this point, the only thing I have left to do is print out a sticker to go on top so that I know what scenes I'm switching to. And I'm going to jump into the code and show you how all that works. So Sunfounder has their code available on GitHub. So from Sunfounder and the project Sunfounder Magic Key, I have the gamepad, the keyboard, and Magic Key MIDI. There is also, in their documentation, they require a library. So from the Sunfounder Learn website, I went to Magic Key. Here I had the manual, and the manual has some really great installation instructions. Tells you what every button is. I'm not using every button. It tells you how to use the capacitive touch, which I will not be using for this, but hey, look, if you've got the desk space and you want to, I think it's awesome. Tells you about keyboard mode, some of the specifications, how to install the Arduino IDE if you've never done that before, and then here it gives you this joystick and mini USB library, tells you how to use it, how to load it, and all that's great. So this can tell you much better than I can. So I got the code from here and I used the Magic Key keyboard. So from here, there was a few things I changed. One is the keymap.h. Now keymap was going to tell me which keys I am using for what buttons. So these were the standards that were pre-installed. The keyboard up, down, left, right, A, B, X, Y, select, start. Now all of those map directly to the button labels on the controller. So for up, down, left, right, I kept them as is, W, S, A, and D. For keyboard A, B, X, Y, I changed to F13, 14, 15, 16, 21, and 22. And 17, 18, 19, and 20 are going to be my zoom levels. Normal keyboards don't go into like the F13 plus range, but those keys exist. And that allows me to map to those buttons and know that one, there's going to be no key conflict, and two, chances are an application is not already doing something with F13. So if I press F13, I'm not going to have any problems. So I've seen a lot of tutorials where they have this external keyboard, a USB numpad, and you convert it to, your auto hotkeys. And the problem with that is you can't suppress the default key press. And that means that you're always pressing numpad 0. You're always pressing numpad 1, 2, 3. And those keys, let's say you're in Word, or let's say you're in anything, in a video game, and you press 1, 1 is going to be pressed. And that can be a problem. So that's kind of ultimately how I ended up at doing things in here in the code, is I get to control exactly what key is pressed. So even if I'm remapping it to F13, it's not A and then F13, it's just F13. So because these are all mapped as is, then all I needed to do was go into OBS and say, okay, for these scenes, the keyboard shortcut is press the button and it becomes F13, press the button F14. The second part I wanted to do was with the zoom. Now the zoom is basically pressing the same key over and over again, but doing something different on that key. So that's why I had the zoom level. So based off of the zoom level, so if you're going up, it goes from F17, 18, 19, 20, or down. So I basically just made an array of values, and that's it. The rest of this I did not change because it's really just comments letting you know what the hexadecimal and decimal value are. So there's really nothing you need to change here. So then the Magic Key keyboard, this is some beautiful code. in the sense that it works. I tried to jam on the keyboard a lot, and I tried to really, kind of mess with it because I wanted to see where its flaws were, and I just wasn't finding it. Like, they did a really good job making a virtual keyboard. Even if you use your own custom keyboard, your own custom button set, looking at this code is really going to help. The few things I adjusted here is the joystick sensitivity. So that's basically how far I needed to move the joypad before the button is considered pressed. I did at one point want it to be analog and then kind of zoom in based off of how far you moved your analog, but OBS doesn't work that way, and neither does my camera, so there's really not much I can do there. So my joystick sensitivity I set to about 200, so I have to move it about 30% of the way up before it registers. Everything else I stayed exactly the same. All here stayed exactly the same. So there's a lot of things. The only code I changed beyond that is down here at the bottom. So all the way at the bottom, there's two important functions that I wanted to intercept, and that was press handle and release handle. So press handle happens when you want to press the button, and release handle happens when you want to release the button. So the way that everything here works is every few milliseconds, it reads the status of all the values, and then it scans to determine what it should do with those values. So it scans the entire board and says what buttons are being held down and what buttons are not being held down, because that's important as well. And then from there, it either presses the button or releases the button. It's a pretty ingenious way of handling it. So in the press handle and release handle, I needed to see if the key was up or down. So in that case, it was W or S. Because the key is an integer here, so it's the integer value and it's being mapped elsewhere, I needed to find the ASCII integer value for W and S, which happened to be 119 and 115. So here, if key is 119, if the zoom level is less than 3, then add to the zoom level. So my zoom levels are 0, 1, 2, and 3. That gives me my 4 levels, and that maps perfectly to the array. So ultimately what I'm saying is if there's room to go deeper into the zoom, add 1 to the zoom level, otherwise leave it the same. And then my key is going to be my zoom level, and then whatever the key to that array is. So ultimately, if I'm at my highest zoom level, it's going to be key F20. If I'm at my lowest zoom level, F17, and then anywhere in between. Then I do the reverse if the person presses down. So else, if key double equals 115, then if the zoom level is greater than 0, minus minus. Now, the reason for this is just to make sure that you're not going below 0, because if you go below 0, then you're going to have a zoom level that doesn't exist, and then code's going to crash. So here, key is equal to zoom level. So this is just the opposite of that, and then press the key. And what's nice is when you're releasing, you don't have to worry because the zoom level is not changing. You're pressing the button once, and then it's going to keep adding up until it's fully zoomed, or you're releasing it. So that's all that's happening. When I first ran this code, I had it in the press handler, but not the release handler, and it would press the key and never release it. And then it was constantly cycling through all of the scenes over and over again. And it actually caused my computer to not be happy, and I had to restart it because the keys were basically stuck, and because I couldn't unpress them with my keyboard, it was a problem. Once I got the release handler, everything worked perfectly fine. But that really is all. So if you wanted to intercept more, so if you wanted to add the left and the right, you could do that here. If you wanted to determine how things are analog, you would need to then go into a previous function. You want to go into the read status and take a look at where that's working. So if we go to read status, so read status is going to debounce read and then do an analog read for the axis up. And then here it's going to do the digital read for the modes. What you're going to want to do here for the analog read is change the analog read function so that it's applying it appropriately and doing something more analog-y with it as opposed to digital, which is a true or false. So that's how I made my custom controller. And as I have learned, OBS will only register the first press. So if I hold the key, it's not going to keep pressing it. Part of that is also probably in here. It's going to wait for the release before it's considered released. That's nice because I don't have to worry about it zooming in too much. It pretty much zooms in once per press. I hope you like this, and I hope you like this type of content. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please leave them below. Leave a like on the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to hear about my new videos when they're coming out. I will have a link below in the description to all of the code and everything else for this project, as well as where to buy this particular piece if you want to do something just the same. Thanks, and have a great day.